Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone out there in the world. Welcome to the CVR World Cup presented by Cyclogent and sponsored by Houtroute. Today we are here with the launch event for a World Cup series of events at the Neonopolis at the Millennial eSport Arena here, ready to get going for the first ever Zwift event in real life, World Cup, with 10 lady racers lined up behind me right now, ready to get going for their warm-up and a race out on the UCI Richmond Worlds course, actually, in the virtual cycling MMO massive multiplayer online game called Zwift. First ever time event like this, we're going to have a women's race first, then next after that, we're going to have the men's race. Now I'm going to shoot it over to Simon Schofield for some analysis up at the caster's desk.
Hey, thanks, Nathan. This is Simon Schofield, maybe a familiar voice to some of you from the Zwiftcast, the podcast for Zwifters. As Nathan said, we are here live in Las Vegas, and we're claiming a world first. This is the first time that virtual cycling has been cast worldwide to a global audience as an e-sport. The sweat is going to be real. The fastest Zwift racers, both female and male, are here live in Las Vegas, and Nathan and I are going to be calling the race. Nathan, this is going to be fast and ferocious.
Yeah, it's the women are all lined up, getting ready for the race today, and the warm-up's getting going. We've got 10 racers down there getting ready on the UCI Richmond's course. I think, first of all, I think for our viewers, though, a lot of them, there's going to be a lot of familiar Zwifters, but out there on the world of Twitch, I have a feeling that some of them are not going to be super familiar with what's going on here with a virtual cycling massive multiplayer online. What's up with that? So essentially, what Zwift is, for all you who may not be familiar, is is a massive multiplayer online virtual cycling video game where riders can actually compete against each other in game with the power that they're actually putting out in the pedals actually from the trainers that they are on is going directly into the game, communicated to their avatars actually with a signal coming from those trainers. So the riders are able to actually compete with each other with real life effort into this virtual cycling environment. Zwift actually has a whole massive worlds, actually 3 of them, and today we'll be on the Richmond Worlds course where the riders will be experiencing the actual gradients in that course, 3%, 4%, 10%, up to 17% gradients actually out on that Worlds course. We do have a full lineup of women actually from mostly all over the US actually, and then 1 woman coming out of Australia. It looks like we do have Janice Denning coming out of the USA, Karine Vetter as well, Colleen Hunter. As far as women that are familiar with Zwift and have raced in the actual CVR event before, Lindsay Garrett taking 2nd place at the Roanoke event in Virginia. Ashley Carlock is going to be here out of the USA. Katrina Weiss, another racer who has done a CVR event before, is hanging out in the house here. Veronica Michich actually coming out of Australia. Vaughn coming all the way, long way to come on over all the way from Australia. And then we do have Rhonda Viles and Lisa Job and Ann Lira all out of the USA. So looking at that lineup, Simon, I think some of these racers are kind of wild cards today.
Yeah, I mean, I think the difference between the girls' race that we're going to see and the men's race that we're going to see later is that the men are very used to competing against each other. The guys that we're going to see in a short time after the girls have gone they race regularly. They know each other's tactics, they know each other's strengths and weaknesses. And whilst the ladies that we're going to see racing, Nathan, are experienced Zwifters, they know the game, they know how it works, they know how hard the hill's going to feel, they're not used to racing against each other. So I think there could be maybe surprise attacks. They won't know each other's strengths and weaknesses. They won't know who's going to get over a hill quick necessarily. But I don't think that's going to make the competition any less compelling.
Oh, not at all. I think it's just mainly a wild card kind of a situation, Simon. I think that as far as the racers not being familiar with each other is one thing, but whether or not they're going to be fast out there and pushing each other is a whole nother thing. And, chasing pixels is something that we call this a whole lot. Yeah. And chasing pixels out on Zwift is one of the hardest experiences I've ever had in my training and my racing. For the viewers out there who do any kind of Zwift racing, racing, you guys know for sure how difficult it can be to hammer away on those trainers next to each other. Well, you guys are usually coming from your pain caves, from your personal house, but the riders here are going to all be lined up next to each other, and they've all actually been verified today. That's something that's new to this situation here. There's been one real-life event back in Roanoke that was a great event, but today, as well, these riders on the Wahoo kickers that they're using, each one of the riders has been verified for their weight, so that's something that comes up a lot of times with Zwift racing is like, well, does the rider actually weigh what they weigh? And their avatars in-game, for those of you unfamiliar with Zwift, actually travel with the speed that they should in real life based on the weight and the power that they are putting into the game. So you enter a weight as you jump into the game for what you actually weigh in real life, and then as you put that power into the pedals and that's communicated into the game, it actually moves that avatar forward at the speed that it should be going. And so a lot of questions have come up about that in racing. Well, now with these real life events, we weigh in, we get the height correct. They're all weighed in at 7 a.m. this morning, actually, before breakfast. And we're able to head on over here and then start getting warmed up. And so that's going to be completely taken out of the equation today. No more questions.
Well, I think the significance of everything you've just explained there, Nathan, is that this is racing we can believe in. I mean, there's a huge racing community on Zwift, but inevitably when people are competing from all over the world on all kinds of different trainers, all kinds of different setups, there's always a slight element of doubt. But there's no doubt here. The doubt has been removed completely from the equation, and what we're seeing is real. It's real sweat, it's genuine competition, it is, I was going to say a level playing field. It's not level because it's going to go up and it's going to go down, but the thing is, there's no doubt about the equipment or the setups. This is pure racing, pure competition.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And speaking of the ups and downs, the riders, a lot of times there's questions about whether or not they feel the terrains. And they're actually going to be feeling these gradients actually out on course, right?
Yeah.
So we've got the first place out on course, I think, that we need to watch out for is that initial after the rollout. So the riders will be going out on a rollout together, and then there will be a send-off, and at that point, after the controlled start, they're going to be hitting a cobbled climb. That's about 3% gradient. And then on the UCI Richmond's course, it is kind of a flatter course to begin with. They head on down toward the industrial park, and then it's those three climbs.
Yeah.
Libby Hill, 23rd Street, and then into Governor Street. And they're going to be doing 2 laps today out on the Richmond's World's course. And I think that those 3 climbs, obviously, are going to be the race deciders.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where, as in real bike racing, and there's nothing unreal about virtual bike racing when you see the setup that we've got here, but in real life bike racing, as we call it, the hills provide the separation. I think that is going to happen here, but I think the Richmond course, Nathan, because it's got long flat stretches, it does lend itself to a situation where a girl may have lost a bit of time on the climb. She could regain it on the flat sections. If we've got some strong time trialists here, for instance, they could pull back to a group that's broken away. But the thing with Zwift, as anybody who plays the game will know, is that if you lose the pack, it's pretty much game over. If you get, if these girls are going to get back after they've been dropped in an attack, they're going to have to do it within a small group. You can't get back solo to a bunch unless you are very strong.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely difficult for anybody who does fall off. And a lot of times we do see those 3 climbs as the main thing that does separate the pack. Libby Hill being the first one, that the cobbled climb, about a 1 minute or so climb. It's going to take for the men, I think for the women, right around 1:15 to 1:30 for the leaders. Maybe a little, about that fast, I would think. Then we've got the 23rd Street, which is just a bear of a climb. It might be short, but you're hitting this 13 to 17% grade.
Yeah.
Just an absolute sprint to the top, and that 17% gradient that they feel on the top of that climb is just it's nothing about kicking it as hard as you can and then having continuance over the top of that climb into the flat right before Governor Street. And I think that Governor Street, about 2 to 3 minute climb toward the finish line, is usually the race decider, being a little bit longer. You know, those who have a really high VO2 max in a sprint can hang on through those first 2 climbs, but a lot of times, who's got the ability to recover quickly from those hard efforts, those first 2, and then the ability to hang on to the wheels over that first lap, I think we'll have a deciding section on that through those first 3 climbs. And then they'll be together for a pack. There'll probably be a pack that usually forms, unless we got a super standout rider who ends up just walking away on those 3 climbs. And then I think the race decider through those last 3, it's going to get a little jittery. It'll probably settle down, though, I would think, on the second lap. Wouldn't you say, Simon?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the great thing about Zwift is that and the racing in Zwift is that this is available to anybody. So, I mean, the race that you're going to see today, these are top athletes, and they're going to be putting in some times on the climbs that certainly I can get nowhere near. I think you can sometimes get a bit nearer those times, Nathan, because you're a pro bike racer and you're pretty handy on Zwift. But the ordinary mortal can race on the same course as these women and men are going to be racing on later on today. And you can feel the gradients. You can feel the endurance that you need to get over the flat sections at pace. So I think that's one of the really engaging things about the idea that we're going to have virtual bike racing here as an e-sport. It's a bit like cyclists watching kind of pro bike racing. You can feel their pain. If you've been up those alpine climbs, you know what it takes to get up those alpine climbs at the crazy speeds that the Tour de France riders do it at. Now, in the virtual world, this is the same. You can go on Zwift, you can feel the pain, and you can compare your times to the sort of times that you are going to be seeing today from these girls who are very much at the top of the game. It's going to be an exciting race. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, cycling made social is, I think, Zwift's tagline there. And today, it's putting the sport in esports with Cycling Gen today. And if you want to jump into these courses, you can do so quickly, quickly depending on your setup, if you do have a bicycle and a few other things that you need to get in order to jump into the game. But you can ride this as well directly from your home, actually. In order to jump into that, you need a trainer or bike and a little ANT Plus dongle in order to communicate that power from your trainer and bike. So it's real simple setup. Janice Denning, then, it looks like we're going to go through the lineup here a little bit real quick, coming out of Oregon, hammering away today. It looks like she's done some tour stuff for Landia, it seems like, taking first place, it looks like, on a Stages spin bike from 2016. Was a winner, won that back in 2016, won a Stages spin bike, and has been doing the Nights of Sufferlandia a lot. Lindsay Guerra, of course, Cat 1 / pro rider coming out of Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. I might know that girl a little bit. She's a solid rider, and second overall last year in the Wisconsin Off-Road Series, and second at the Roanoke event behind Kate Buss. Kylene Hunter hammering away, it looks like, out here today. Kylene, it looks like, actually traveled to Afghanistan recently, helping women appreciate freedom on 2 wheels. That's a pretty cool thing. It looks like gravel and mountain biking is her love in the sport of cycling. Corinne Vetger coming out of Chicago, Illinois. She's a Leadville finisher, Leadville 100 finisher, in first place for the Masters Women, actually. So definitely one to watch out for on the climb, I think. Leadville 100, Simon, that's a super hard course, actually, and something that would probably favor a climber.
That's a crazy race. And Nathan, I'm just going to stop you there because I can't let you just float over the announcement that you know Lindsay Guerra a little bit, actually, because we should tell people that Lindsay is Nathan's partner in life. And Lindsay prepared for this event by she did what, 80K yesterday out in real life? She did 80K out in real life on a road bike as a little warm-up for this event. Now, if that had been me, I'm not sure I'd have done that, but she couldn't resist getting out on a bike.
I was definitely talking to her about it yesterday and made sure that she filled her pockets with plenty of food yesterday and lots of water. I heard it was pretty windy. She went out with a few of the boys yesterday, actually, out on a ride to Red Rock, actually, locally. Beautiful, beautiful riding out here in Las Vegas for sure. So, yeah, a little bit of 80K out there, 50 miles they did. And it looks like we've got about a minute to go until we are going to be getting a start out here out on course. So it looks like women are all lined up out on the Richmond World start line area. They'll be doing a slow roll, women. We'll be doing a slow roll in order to get all together and then be sent off for the start of the race. I want to finish up the lineup a little bit here, talk about everybody. Again, Korean Vector coming out of Chicago, Illinois, Leadville 100. Veronica, obviously Vaughn coming over. Shane Miller's partner hammering here today. It looks like started racing back in 2011. Road race time trial champ for her age group in 2014. So definitely someone to watch out for on the flats, I would think, as more of a ruler. Katrina Weiss, obviously the wife of Scotty Weiss, somebody to be watching out for. I think they're training with CIS, been out on Zwift, actually getting stronger and stronger and stronger, mainly through training on Zwift, actually. So somebody who's extremely familiar with Zwift, I think that might be an advantage for her today. Maybe somebody to watch out for making moves with some of the tactics that you can use in Zwift. we also got Ashley Carlock here. It looks like jumped on a mountain bike first time in 2013, November actually, after moving to Southwest Colorado. Completely changed her life, it looks like. And it looks like after that we've got Rhonda Avils actually coming here, hammering away as well. Looks like she was second overall in Desert Crit Series recently, received second, third, fourth place finish, and second overall in that series. So solid results there for Rhonda as well. Lisa Job, another racer coming out of the USA. Looks like some of her highlights include Iron Horse Bicycle Classic Omnium women's 30 to 44 winner, actually. So definitely somebody to watch out for out on course. Again, a lot of wild cards, though, people that we haven't seen out in the world of Zwift racing. So I think definitely going to be up in the air as far as who's going to play what tactics out on course today. I think some of the more familiar racers, Katrina, Lindsay, are going to have kind of some question marks about what do I do today? Where do I make my moves? Because I've never raced against these girls before.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think the other thing that's going to be slightly different about the race today, Nathan, is the way that it starts. It looks like we're going to get a neutralized start, whereas anybody who has raced on Zwift will know that the starts are usually kind of mad, full gas dashes from the line. So that's going to be slightly different about the way that the race starts today.
Yeah, definitely way different than it usually is. And it looks like the racers are going to be getting going out on course today. We're going to wait for the roll out here, and as they roll out, they will be having a slow roll and a controlled start, so the women can start getting going. And as they get going, we are going to have, it looks like an announcement in game for when they will be actually starting up. So the women can go ahead and go, slow roll, and get joined up together out on course. So it looks like we do have our Avils here rolling out slow roll, 0.2 watts per kilogram or so. We do also, it looks like, have Jay Denning as well. Rhonda Avils up on course here, it looks like, leading things out a little bit for the women. Janice Denning there she is, hammering away, well, not hammering quite yet, as we are starting out a slow roll out on course. We do have a Twitch feed up. If you want to ask any questions, make sure to @Zwift Community Live in the Twitch feed. And we are able to take some comments and questions at Zwift Community Live. We also have a Twitter feed, I believe, up that you can do some social media at as well. And so we do have, it looks like Kay Hunter now leading it out here as the women do get going. Jay Denny now 0.8 watts per kilogram. Kay Hunter now sitting on her wheel with Jay Vetter as well. Janice Denning here now, it looks like Kylene Hunter now just getting going. And as you can see, the heart rates are fairly low at this point. They're not going to be working too hard, 200 meters out, as they haven't even crossed the finish line just yet. C. Weiss now 1.5 watts per kilogram, 300-meter line. We do have Vaughn now starting to roll out. It also looks like we have Lisa Job here. It has the KOM actually from the first time around the course on her warm-up. And you are seeing a couple of different jerseys in game. For those of you who are unfamiliar with that, the jerseys in game represent awards that you can get in game for the fastest time through different sections of the course. So over the sprint section of the course, if you get the fastest time in game, you are able to grab that green jersey for 1 hour at a time. For the KOM, if you have the fastest time up Libby Hill, you will be able to grab the KOM jersey that you are seeing Lisa in there as well. And then you are also seeing the women's jersey here, A. Lero there holding on to that one. Fastest time around the entire loop right now is the orange jersey that's being held at 32:12. I think the times though are going to be a lot faster than 32 today. Hey, Simon?
Yeah, definitely. So I think what we're going to see here, Nathan, is the women just joining up together as a pack. They're probably going to cruise together to make sure that they all start together as the peloton forms up. It's a bit like that section at kilometre zero in real life racing, where they would in that case be behind a commissaire's car. So there's a kind of imaginary commissaire's car with a dude out of the sunroof with a flag in front of these women now as they line up and form up into a peloton so that we get a good clean start with nobody getting any kind of advantage before the race kicks off as the flag drops, as it were, Nathan.
Yeah, and we are getting a question here coming in from, it looks like the Twitch chat actually, saying, who do you think the favorites are today? I'm going to pass that off to you, as there's no bias at all coming from Nathan whatsoever. Is there a favorite out on course according to Mr. Simon Schofield from Zwiftcast?
That is just about an impossible question to answer, Nathan, so thanks very much for that.
Well, I mean the field today is so up in the air.
Yeah, exactly. I think any one of these women athletes could take this. I mean, the thing to say is that Von, Shane Miller's partner, is coming out of the on-season in Australia because the Australians are just going into autumn. So they've spent all summer outside riding. She will have had plenty of good endurance training. She's going to be coming into this event with an absolutely fantastic aerobic base. Now, whether that's going to form enough of an advantage over the other women, it's going to be difficult to say. Katrina Weiss, I know, has been training very hard. She was off at a training camp outside with CIS Systems, which is run by David Lipscomb, a coach who will be very familiar to Zwifters. He does a lot of Zwift-specific coaching. And so Katrina, she could figure. But actually, any one of these women could take top step of the podium. Any one of them.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. We do have, it looks like, a very slow rollout. They're going to have to be going super slow. They're going to need to really calm things down to get all the women together out on course there right now, so that they do have a controlled lead out, controlled start. We do see about a 34-second gap at this point, so I think they're going to have to be waiting up, especially on this 2% gradient where the girls behind will be able to catch up very quickly there, as they are leading things out here. We do have Vetker, Kerlock, as well as Liro and Micic a little ways back at this point, so we'll have to wait up for them, and then we'll get an official race start, most likely out on the flatter section of the course near the sprint. I would think here Vetker having to put on a little bit of effort here to get back with the front of the group. So still a controlled start, it looks like here. Eljob, as well as Kay Hunter are reveals. Jennings in there as well. C. Weiss, it looks like, and then Lindsay Garrett just hanging on the back, 136 beats per minute coming from Lindsay at the back of the pack, looking fairly calm now at this point. Vecker about 10 seconds back, and as soon as she's back on terms with that, they will be able to get the go, I believe, for the race out there today. Being on the flatter section, of course, not going to matter quite as much, I don't believe. We do see Corinne Vector here putting a little bit of effort, 163 beats per minute, now 144 watts. Again, Vector being the Leadville finisher for the Masters winner, actually, in that race. So definitely one to watch out for once they hit those climbs on the other side of the course. So
Corinne is showing something that we talked about earlier here, Nathan, that if you fall off the back of a pack in Zwift, you kind of have to work pretty hard to get back on. We can see Corinne there. She's spinning at close to 100 RPM. Heart rate's up a little bit, and she is needing to put some fairly major effort in here to get back up to the rest of the pack. And it looks like Anne Lero is in a similar position. She's just chasing on to the back of the pack here. This used to be the way that all Zwift races started. The whole thing about Zwift racing is that it sprung from the community, and the community has kind of devised many of its own rules and many of its own protocols for how racing is regulated. And how results are correlated. And we used to, all Zwift races used to start this way. They used to start as a neutralized group which relied on the goodwill of everybody racing to keep the neutralization process working. Since the introduction of the event module in Zwift, it's changed the way that Zwift races start completely. And now it is a starting pen, and the flag lifts, or the gate lifts, the flag drops, and everybody goes hell for leather for the first 2 or 3 minutes. And it really changes the nature of racing, I think, Nathan, when you have the luxury of a neutralized start as opposed to full gas from the gun.
Yeah, definitely. And we do see that racers are almost all together here on this flatter section of the course. I have a feeling right around the sprint banners where we're going to have an official all-out start as we are waiting for confirmation as to when the race is a go, go, go. And so it does look like we do have, we're looking at our reveals here, leading things out, controlling things at the front, it looks like, having a good kind of being our pace car. We do have Vaughn now, it looks like here, coming out of Australia, hammering away 2.5, not trying to bring that pace up a little too high, 30 kilometers per hour on this 0.5% gradient out on the cobbles right now. About 10 seconds back, as soon as Lero's back on terms with the rest of the girls, I believe we will be right around that sprint point out on course. And we do have Jay Denning here sitting in second, it looks like, right along with Vetker. Lindsay Guerra looking pretty calm now as well out on course here. It looks like 3.9K in to, it's going to be essentially a lap and a half race, I believe, out on the Richmond's course as they do head into the 3 climbs. I think is going to be the main place that things are really going to break up out there.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, Nathan. I'm just going to ask you, Nathan, what do you think the effect on the women who've had to chase back on to the peloton in this neutralised section will be? I mean, that could go one of 2 ways. This could serve as a really, really highly effective warm-up because they've had to go pretty hard from the start, or it could possibly mess with their mind in that they've not been able to stay with the pack for whatever reason. We're not quite sure what that is, but they've not been able to stay with the pack until the go, go, go. So it could be a really nice warm-up, or it could have messed with their minds. Which way do you think it'll have gone for them?
I think it's a good warm-up at this point. I think they'll be able to jump in, and I think they just need to play it smart as soon as they do get back onto those wheels and use the riders that are in front of them, really get onto those wheels, use the draft. It's going to be all about hanging on to that draft. I think another thing when it comes to that, though, is going to be familiarity with Zwift, though. Do they know how to hang on a draft well in Zwift? The other thing with that, too, is going to be familiarity with Zwift is when they're coming over the top of the climb is really going to be a continuance issue. They're going to really have to shift up on those kickers and kick it. All right, it looks like we do have a go at this point. 3, 2, and 1. It is a full-on go now out on course for the women's first ever CVR World Cup launch for this series of races. And right from the get-go, Lindsay Guerra, 6.8 watts per kilogram, absolutely killing it on the front of this race right from the go. 156 beats per minute. We're seeing 115 RPMs right now, 300 plus watts. Things are breaking up immediately. Kerlock now going at the front there at 5.2 watts per kilogram, followed by Denning at 5.5. A little ways back, we do have C. Weiss hanging on to the back of this front group as they do get going. 4 leaders now, it looks like. C. Weiss looking fairly comfortable. Now 182, 183 beats per minute. Not sure where she beats out for a max just yet, but maybe we can get that information here. But definitely suffering a little bit to hang on. Now playing it really smart, though, in that team experimental kit. As you can see, Lindsay Guerra there on the right-hand side getting a ride on from somebody from out there in the real world right now, cheering her on. We do have Lisa Job there right on the wheel of Katrina Weiss hanging in that slipstream as well. A little ways off the bat, immediately we've got Vetker falling off about 8 seconds off the back. Vaughn playing it really smart in that ZA kit, as you can see right now. Vaughn Mitchell out of Australia on that S-Works in that Zwift Academy kit, sporting that amazing accomplishment, actually, for finishing up the Zwift Academy. Also looking fairly comfortable. Again, this section, of course, not really somewhere where you want to push it. I mean, it is a very tactical section, of course, out here, so not somewhere where you really want to sit in and not try to really break things apart, I wouldn't think, out on course, Simon.
Yep, that was quite a gamble from Lindsay. I thought she was going to go very, 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 very long then, Nathan, and try and solo the whole race, but that would have been suicide, wouldn't it?
Oh, definitely. And I think that it's either go or don't go on this section of the course. It's either you go and you hold that gap, or you don't go at all and you keep it nice and steady and even. And really, this section of the course, all the way down into Industrial Park, I think is a section where most of the girls who are going to be familiar with road racing and how to road race well are going to know that you're not getting away right here. This is a place where if you try and get away, even if you gain 5, 6, 7, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, I've gained 30 seconds in a race on these sections of the course, and I get that brought back like nothing because packs travel way faster on Zwift than individual riders. So I have a feeling that none of these riders are going to try and get away really at this point, and things are going to stay fairly calm. Now, somebody who might be a little bit more of a ruler out there, maybe more of a time trial specialist, might want to really go. As you're seeing Ashley Carlock here actually going for it at this point at the front, seeing that maybe some people are suffering. 4.2 watts per kilogram. That's no joke for the women out here today. 3.7 now, 267 watts, 168 beats per minute. You can see that serious look on her face at this point, really trying to break things apart a little bit here. 112 RPMs. And you know why those RPMs are spinning out like that, Simon?
That looks like an attack to me. That looks like a big attack to me. Are we seeing that now reflected in game? We now see a shot of all the athletes, all the women athletes now. And you can see, oh, and there's Corinne. Look, Corinne looks like she's attacking too. High cadence there, over 100 revolutions per minute. So has Corinne got ahead there, Nathan?
No, actually, Corinne has actually fallen off a little bit by 30 seconds. But being a strong climber, she's not out of it just yet, I don't think. I think as they come back into the back end of the Richmond's course, they're going to have those climbs come in. And I think things are really going to break up at that point. And those who are just hanging on at this point in that front group are actually going to be shed off the back. And that's going to really be when the cream is going to rise to the top, right at that point. And that's when we're really going to know who's in it for the win here. And those who are unable to hang on to that effort, that's where Corinne, I think, is going to have the opportunity to bring those riders back into contention with her. So back at the front now, we are looking at Carlock here trying to hang on, 4.0 watts per kilogram. A little bit of a kick to make sure she's holding on to the right wheel. But a lot of the riders here hanging at the back of the pack, I think, really conserving some energy. And I mean, Vaughn really being the smartest one I've seen so far out on course here, 2.2 watts per kilogram. Haven't seen her really jump much over that. And I think she's reserving as much as she possibly can, knowing that those climbs are coming.
And that brings in a talking point, I think, Nathan. You commentate on a lot of Zwift racing. I do a bit of Zwift racing. Often winning a race, of course you've got to ride hard, but riding smart can be way more important. And the benefit of the draft is absolutely huge. Just to explain to people who may not have done any Zwift racing or Zwift group riding, if you can get in the draft, and that means sitting close to a pack of riders behind them. If you can get in the draft, you can be saving somewhere between 20 and 30% of effort. And in a race situation, that just makes the most enormous difference.
Oh, it's absolutely huge. Saving and conserving and conserving and conserving. I think a few of the riders here being mountain bikers might not, being mountain bikers or maybe having not so much familiarity with the road racing side of things. I think the road racers actually, even not being familiar with Zwift, might have a little bit of advantage here, not getting too excited. I think some of the racers are used to just being whole shot, let's go, hit the single track first, and you just pin it and go for your racing. The road racer is going to be a little bit more savvy here, I think, and know that, hey, the time to really go is going to be at certain sections where you know it is critical. And that's what road racing really is all about. Having a huge amount of endurance, and then what are those crucial moments for those all-out VO2 max efforts? And that's exactly what this Richmond World course is all about. You've got a flat section all the way through for the first half. You hit into that industrial park, you hit this negative 4% gradient. You currently see the women out on right now with Vaughn heading to the front there, 2.0 watts per kilogram. Look at those wattages. They're so low at this point.
There we just saw an aero tuck there, Nathan, and that's really important on these downhills. If you can get what's called the aero tuck in Zwift, we're not seeing it right now, but we did just see a little example of the aero tuck there. That means that you can essentially freewheel, and you're getting maximum draft, you're getting maximum speed, and it just gives you that micro break, that short break. Just helps to preserve energy and marshal your resources to be able to hang with the pack. And those tiny breaks in racing of effort, that respite that you get from full-on effort, they're so important.
It's huge. It's huge. It's all about the stores in the body. Your body stores up as much energy as it possibly can to hold on to so that you can do those monstrous efforts. And those efforts are really what separate the packs up. It really separates one racer from another, is those threshold as well as really the VO2 max efforts though, because in road racing, it's all about getting that gap. Somebody can sit on your wheel at up to 60, 70% less effort actually than somebody else is putting out at the front of a pack. And in game, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Zwift, the drafting is completely real. You have a full-on draft working way less than the other riders who are around you actually, if you're able to sit in that wheel smartly and intelligently holding on to that pace that's just below the riders that's ahead of you. And so being able to put out less wattage and conserving that energy, that's what it's really all about until those crucial moments. And speaking of those crucial moments, we're heading through the industrial park right now. We are being let out right now, it looks like, by Carlock and Lindsay Guerra is there as well. We do got Lisa Job is still in the contention here. We do have Jay Denning as well from the King of Sefferlandia there out of Canada. Our reveals is still hanging out as well. It looks like we do have a lead group then of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 riders at this point before they do hit Libby Hill. Katrina Weiss now making her way to the front, making sure she's not going anywhere. Still at 176 beats per minute. Lindsay Guerra 168 right now. Looking about at tempo for a few of these girls. Lindsay now kicking it before Libby actually, and kicking it into about a 7 watts per kilogram real quickly there. Maybe just making sure she's not going anywhere from this section of course. And you know, a lot of times you're wondering if somebody's going to go before you hit a little bit of an uphill gradient like that, and maybe being a little unsure. That's why she kicked right there in order to make sure she doesn't lose anybody's wheel, or if an attack were to go, she was maybe preempting it there. A lot of times you need to do that out on course. So still looking fairly comfortable. It looks like 171 beats per minute. Nobody looking like they're in too much of a spot of bother just yet. Lisa here 169 beats per minute. Vaughn 163 as well. Kay Hunter is there with that Sprinters jersey on 173 at 167 beats per minute. Kylene Hunter looking super focused here, 173 beats per minute, and hanging into the pack right now, holding on to those wheels. Jay Denny now moving backwards, Carlock as well, Lindsay moving to the back as well. These girls are definitely shifting position a whole lot. Nobody really just leading out and taking the bulk, which tells me a lot of them are trying to really rest up in this pack before those crucial moments out on course, Simon.
Yep, and one of those crucial moments is coming right up. This is a flat section, and they are in what we call Gruppo Compacto. They're all together. They're benefiting from the draft apart from the couple of riders on the front, conserving their energy because we're going to go through this little underpass section. There's then another, I think, 200, 300, 400 meters, and then we hit the climb. And this climb, it's not to be trifled with, Nathan, actually. It's steep in parts, and I think it could well be the point where we start to see this group break up. There's a chance they could all go up together, but this is a tough little climb. And on the trainers that these women are riding, it to some extent, this climb is going to be even more testing, because the Wahoo kickers that these female athletes are riding on have a real flywheel at the back, and that flywheel is heavy. I think it's about 20 kilos, and you've got to turn that flywheel, and you've got to keep that flywheel turning, and inevitably as you climb the gradient, everything is working against you, and the inertia within that flywheel drops. And what that means is that when you get to the top of the gradient, you've got to get that flywheel moving again, and you've got to get 25 kilos spinning fast again, and that takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of effort when you've just given it probably full gas going up the climb to maybe stay with the group. And I think that's where these trainers may have an effect on the race, but of course it's absolutely the same for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. And now the riders are going to be feeling that gradient you were just speaking about on those smart trainers. We do have Katrina Weiss leading it out. They have started. It looks like they're starting Libby Hill right now. And so we do have Lindsay Guerra at the front here, 8.2 watts per kilogram, it looks like, right from the get-go, as we are seeing here. Lindsay Guerra now, yep, there it is, 6.978 watts per kilogram, absolutely killing it at the front right now, 3 seconds immediately. And this is the section, of course, to really break things apart. We'll see if she has continuance over the top, though, as you were saying, Simon. For each one of these athletes that are out there, it's going to be all about hanging onto those wheels over the top, and then really shifting up over the top of the climb and absolutely bringing that flywheel right back up to the speed that it is giving over the top of the climb here. So as they're hitting this gradient, the flywheel's pulling back on them. The Wahoo kicker is actually giving them this resistance, so they're pushing against that. But as soon as that resistance goes out, that flywheel needs to spin up even higher. So really, it is all about whether or not you have continuance over the top. Now, 11 seconds.
This is a big attack, Nathan.
I don't know,
this is
Simon.
A huge
12
attack
seconds,
from
though,
Lindsay.
13. I'm not sure she's going to be able to hold on to this kind of a gap, though.
It's
There's
a
a
huge
large
attack.
pack now still behind her, though, Simon.
Yeah, sure, but this is a big attack. And she's looking so focused. She looks controlled. I mean, you can see she's working hard. You can see the effort on her face, but she's in a good position on the bike. She's not moving around too much on the bike. And this is a big attack. Is it significant for the rest of the race? I don't know. She's coming up now through the banner, which signifies the top of the climb. She'll need to get that flywheel moving again, or moving as fast as possible now as she crests the climb, and the other women will be chasing her tail pretty hard.
This is a huge attack, actually. 29 seconds. Jay Jennings trying
Wow.
to chase that down now. Lindsay still going 5.0 watts per kilogram. 31 seconds back now at this point. That will most likely come down as they do climb down, but it's going to be all about now 23rd Street. Was there too much energy expended, though, over Libby Hill? That's going to be the question, whether or not Lindsay can continue with this effort, because that is a very, very long day all the way around. We're talking about a 25-minute, 30-minute effort off the front, trying to hold off a lot of strong women who are behind. Jay Denny now leading things out. 1:58 was the time over the KOM for Jay Denny. Kerlock 2 seconds back at 2 minutes flat. Lisa Job is there. Velo Vegas there. 2:02, followed by Vaughn Mitchich there at 2:17, right with our evals there, right on her wheel, actually. So it looks like those two are going to be working together on the other side. It's going to be Denny and Kerlock, though, and Job maybe just 30 seconds back. Can she close that gap down? 3 seconds is all it is. What do you think, Simon? Will she get back on terms here before the bottom? I'm not sure, being 2 off the front.
I think she might. I think 3 seconds you can close it down. And again, going back to this specific trainer, on the run up to Libby Hill, on the run up to that cobble climb, you've got a slight downhill. If you really, really push hard at the bottom of that downhill and put 5, 6, 7 kilowatts per watts per kilogram out, that inertia that builds into the flywheel can carry you. Actually, it can carry you maybe a third of the way up that hill without too much effort. And you can almost rest as the climb starts, just for a couple of seconds, and then you kick down hard again. And you just, this is what Zwift racing is all about, taking advantage of the physics.
We do see now Lindsay fading maybe a little bit, 4.3 watts per kilogram, 185 beats per minute. Denny now working really hard to get up to the top of that climb, putting out a little more than Lindsay was, actually, dropping Kerlock off by about 2 meters, but Kerlock still has that gap. She needs to not let Denny go, and could form a chase group between Denny, Kerlock, and Lisa out on course about 2 seconds back. So if those three do form a chase group, Lindsay's going to have a huge amount of work cut out for her to hold those women off. It does look like Lindsay now up at the front of this race right now, holding off at about 2.7 watts per kilogram, letting herself relax a little bit, letting that heart rate come down, as she knows that Governor Street is coming up in just a minute here. So as she hits Governor Street, it's going to be all about trying to widen that gap, because the flat sections of the course now, Simon, are the place where she's going to have a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Because if that group gets together and starts working together on those flat sections of the course, she is going to have to work just as hard, or harder actually, than those riders who are chasing her down. So a minute 21 is a nice gap, but she's going to have to really extend that out over the climb if she wants to hold on to this. Looking back at Jay Denny now and Kerlock, it looks like those two have dropped off Lisa Job at this point, and it looks like Kerlock now falling off of Denny. So now we're getting a lot of no man's land TT efforts if these riders do not stick together.
And I misspoke before, Nathan. I talked about Libby Hill. Of course, I meant Governors. And it was Governors that I was talking about, when you can just carry that inertia of the downhill and the flat before the climb, up to the climb, to maybe get you a third of the way up it without absolutely killing yourself. I'm sure that Lindsay, having raced plenty on Zwift, will be absolutely aware of that tactic, and should be using the inertia that's developed within the trainer to give herself just a little break, just so she doesn't blow up going over the top of that pretty steep cobble climb. She's taking a drink there, very important to keep some fluids in. These women have got fans on them to keep them cool. The amount of heat generated when you're racing on Zwift is extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is, and fans are so incredibly crucial. It's actually coming down with under a minute now. The time between the riders on the time gaps are actually real time gaps. They're not estimated time gaps depending on when the riders will be at the point that Lindsay's at right now. So it is going to come down as she starts climbing, and the riders behind her have a whole lot more speed as they head into the Governor Street climb. But Denny now going on a solo effort to try and chase down Lindsay now at this point. 181 beats per minute. Look at the suffering on that face. She's trying everything, putting it all on the line with 1 lap to go. It's going to be 1 lap to go in just a minute here. They'll be finishing up here, it looks like, with an ETA of 28 minutes. So it's going to be about an hour race. And I'm thinking here, did these girls think on an indoor trainer ride, do they got any gels in their pockets? Do they got any kind of sugar? Because a 1 hour all-out effort is what we're looking at here, Simon.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the rule of thumb, I think, outdoors is that you kind of run out of glycogen stores in the body. I think after about an hour and 20 minutes is the general rule of thumb. But riding outside, you get the chance to cruise a little bit, and you might get hit by a stoplight, and you're not going at absolute full gas, which when you ride on Zwift, in a Zwift race, you are going at full gas from the gun. So I would be taking in a gel with maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes to go, 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, 1 lap after a lap, I think. A half hour, 20 minutes, usually the suggested time. We do see Lindsay's time actually coming down a little bit here. 3.4 watts per kilogram, now 184 beats per minute, actually. And so back up the front of the race here, 3.4, 4.1 watts per kilogram coming from Gara at the front of the race now. 16.5 in total. We are still looking at Denny now with Kerlock, though, it looks like. And it looks like Kerlock now, after Denny went off the front here and on her own solo effort, Kerlock looks to be the steady rider at this point and maybe the one to watch out for today as we are looking at Kerlock here. Now it looks like Denny now there as well, 3.4 watts per kilogram. Now Lindsay Gara off the front here, 3.3 now still, 104 or so coming from Gara there up ahead of the rest of the riders now. So it will be Lindsay Gara here, 3.4 watts per kilogram at the front of this race. 112 is the total. Now it looks like Denny then 115.
You've got an overview, Nathan. I think for viewers it would be useful if you could just summarize what the position is. Who is leading the race at the moment, by how much, and who's chasing her down?
Yeah, and so it does look like Lindsay is 125 up from Denning at this point. Denning then sitting in second place, followed by Kerlock actually in third place. And then we do have Lisa Job here right on her wheel, sitting in fourth place right now. Vaughn now just a little bit back, actually. Mitchell here coming out of Australia, trying to get back on terms with Lisa and Kerlock. I think Vaughn is going to have some big wattage to throw down on these flat sections of the course, so I have a feeling she may be able to catch back up to that chase group. If she can get with them, she's actually going to be in contention then with Denning, I think, for that second place. These three riders, actually, if they can work together, will maybe be able to bring back Denning for a third place all-out battle for second and third place. So that is your top 5 riders at this point. Denning, Kerlock, Lisa, Mitchich, then all there to get, all not together, but all there in the top 5.
And what we're seeing now is Vaughn just trying to get back on terms with the pack, I think, isn't it, Nathan? The pack, you can see them just ahead of her there. Vaughn needs to get back on terms with the pack if she's going to stand a chance.
Yeah, definitely. If she can close that down right now. Now, here's the thing, though. The riders ahead are not actually working together to hold her off at this point.
Yeah.
The riders ahead, Kerlock here, is just saying see you later to Lisa now at this point. I'm not waiting up for you. Lisa now at 1.8, 2.3 watts per kilogram, maybe waiting up for Vaughn to try and work together for her at this point. What will be the tactics, though? We'll have to wait and see what's going to play out here on this last lap out on the Richmond World's course. And then back at the front now, Denning actually with the fastest lap, though, out on course, which is really interesting.
That's amazing.
I think that has something to do with the controlled start, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
So we'll actually see what the fastest lap is, I believe, on this next lap, actually, because of, I mean, actually, our Aviles here is actually the rider. Rhonda Aviles here is actually the rider with the fastest lap now with the 27:37, and that had completely to do with the controlled start. We are seeing Kay Hunter then a little ways off the back of Rhonda's wheel, actually. So solid ride coming from Kylene Hunter. punter here, 195 beats per minute and 169, I'm sorry, 195 watts and 168 beats per minute right now. We are looking forward a little bit here. It looks like Kerlock now able to hold off Lisa there, 10 seconds. At this point, Vaughn now trying to pull it in, it looks like, as well. And now it looks like, though, Kerlock, though, 3.5 watts per kilogram. Solid effort coming from Kerlock. Oh, my goodness. Look at the suffering on the face there. You can see the effort that she is putting out to try and close this gap down to Denny. She wants that second place. You can see it in her eyes. You can see it in her face and in that struggle that she is putting out right now in order to try and catch back up to Denny. 4.3 watts per kilogram, absolutely hammering at this point. Denny now out of Canada trying to hold off Kerlock, it looks like here. 12 seconds is the gap, but at 5.1 watts per kilogram, Lisa now falling off pace from Kerlock. I'm not sure she's going to be caught, and now we've got a battle for first, second, and third, I think, between Lindsay Guerra, Denny, and Kerlock, but I think Guerra is just off the front now at this point.
How far off the front is she, Nathan, and can she hold it? Do you think she was a minute and a half off the front last time we saw? Has that gap closed down?
We're waiting for the updates right now in game. We'll see if we can grab back onto Lindsay's avatar, but if we can get the shot from the live cam of Lindsay Guerra, we can see at what point on course that she's at. She's actually out on she's actually grabbed the fastest lap. The KOM out on course has 183 beats per minute and grabbing a little bit of water, spilling the water over there. Definitely coming. I mean, now you can tell how hard she's breathing then from the way she's just having to drink from that bottle right there. Absolutely hammering. Has a good gap over. A little bit of a thumbs up there coming from Lindsay as well, saying, okay, it's looking good, looking good. We'll see how this plays out, though, as she is being chased down by a couple of really strong riders, Kerlock and Denning. Still 8 seconds between them. Not working together at this point, though, to close that gap down, Simon.
Exactly. And there's still a long way to go, Nathan. I mean, there's the best part of a lap. There's 20 to 23 minutes of very, very serious effort. But the thing that might give Lindsay hope is, as you said, there's nobody working together to chase her. What we're effectively seeing now is 3 or 4 individual solo time trials. And often Zwift racing, if a pack breaks up, that's what happens. And it becomes a completely focused, individual, in the zone effort. And you can see if you're closing on your rivals, but you've got to concentrate more or less on your own performance. And that, I think, well, they call it the race of truth, time trialing. It's one of the hardest things to do in all of cycling.
So there's definitely something that's added to the world of Zwift and the metrics that you can see of the other riders around you, right? And so the riders around you then, as you can see on the right-hand side here, Denning here at 3.5 watts per kilogram, she can see exactly what Kerlock is putting out. Yep. And so the difference in a solo TT effort here is that you're always matching yourself against those riders that are right next to you in game. You can see them, exactly what they're putting out, and you know that you got to put out more watts per kilogram than that rider that you can see on the list next to you there. So right now, Denning sees 3.9, 2.9 for her own. She sees Kerlock chasing her down at 3.4 right now, and she sees Lisa there at 2.9. She knows she's got to hold right now above or right around that same watts per kilogram or so in order to hold off Kerlock. So it's a race of these numbers that you're trying to throw down. It's this race of truth of numbers of that TT effort all the way to the line. Can I hold this rider off? And it really is this complete wearing out of your threshold at that point. How long can I hold on to this threshold or VO2 max effort? Can I kick enough to hold them off on a climb or not? Will they have a kick? Are they at a place? Are they resting or not? Or are they just waiting to kick and catch me? There's all these questions that start rolling through your head as you watch those metrics roll by on the side of the screen there.
And that is the completely intriguing thing about Zwift racing. The thing about Zwift is that the creators of the game and the people who play the game, the desire really is to make it as much like real cycling as possible. So the gradients feel real, the draft effect is real. There are many things about Zwift which the game replicates real life, and it does it in a really, really clever way and a very genuine way. The big difference, though, as you just said, is your ability during races to see exactly what your rivals are doing. If Contador attacks on a climb, there's no way that Chris Froome can know how many watts per kilo that Contador is doing. It's very difficult for him to judge his effort to see if he could catch up to Contador or vice versa. The difference here is that these women athletes now, they can look at each other's performance, they can look at each other's metrics, and they know exactly what it is that they have to do to close the gap. Not only do they know exactly what it is that they have to do to close the gap, they also know what they're capable of. Myself or yourself, Nathan, I'm sure we know where we're comfortable, how long we could sustain an attack at a particular effort level. And the interesting thing about Zwift is that, and Zwift racing in particular, is that you can sometimes exceed those limits that you might put on yourself just thinking, I can't do that. If you're chasing somebody, it's amazing what you can pull out
well,
the
and you
back.
can see the exact metric, right?
Yeah.
And so being able to see those exact metrics, we've got Katrina Weiss here, and we also got Rhonda Avils here, it looks like, working together, and they can see the metrics, they can see those numbers on the right-hand side of the screen here, as you can see right now. But at the real-world view of them, they're going to be working together. It looks like 2.5, 2.6 watts per kilogram coming from Katrina, and Katrina Weiss here, it looks like leading things out 178 beats per minute. They're trying to close it down to Vaughn, actually, and as they're working together, it looks like they will be able to do so, as Vaughn's putting out that 2.5, 2.6 watts per kilogram. So,
that's significant. That's
is really
significant that they're working together.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I think that's going to pull them back within a possibility for a top 5 as Denny, Kerlock, and Job. You know, this initial attack from Lindsay has caused all kinds of mayhem, actually, out on course, because Denny and Kerlock and Lisa have all tried to go with her. But the question is Vaughn and Weiss and Rhonda Avils here going to be able to work together, conserve some energy maybe after this first lap, and on the last half, in the endurance section of this course, on those last 3 climbs, be able to close this down and maybe get a top 3, rather than having to fight it out for this 6th, 7th place.
Absolutely. Well, in Zwift racing, it is absolutely always better to be working with as many other riders as possible. But even working with just one other rider can make a big difference.
Yeah, definitely. We do see Katrina Weiss here. Great job to her. 178 right now beats per minute, 136, 135 beats per minute in that team experimental kit. As you can see, sitting on her wheel will be Rhonda Avils, who she's been working with to try and pull things back in to Veronica Micic as she's out on course. We can see up at the top of the screen there the current watts per kilogram being thrown down by these riders. Lindsay Guerra currently with a gap of, it looks like, a minute 50 over Jay Denning, as well as Kerlock there at 156, 157 back to Lisa Job. Are they all together and almost working together now at this point? Nope, they're still in their solo efforts, it looks like. We do have, it looks like, Kerlock here at 7 seconds up from Lisa. And then Denning here sitting in 2nd place at 2.9 watts per kilogram or so. 6 seconds still. Kerlock, man, and Denning, those two have just been hammering on each other, holding right at that gap. You'd think after the entire flat section of the course, through that sprint section out on the Richmond's course, something would have been closed down, but they have just been hammering on each other to hold that gap right where it is between each other. Nothing's closing down. 7 seconds still between Denning and Kerlock out on course, Simon.
7 seconds, it sounds like nothing, doesn't it? But it can be such a hard gap to close. If you're right on the edge, going as hard as you possibly can, even a gap of 3 or 4 seconds sometimes feels as though it could be 3 or 4 miles. It's so hard to close gaps, isn't it?
It is. It's extremely, especially if you're already on the limit. If you're already on the limit and it's all you possibly have, and there's also the question, if I give that little bit extra at this point, will I just completely go nuclear, explode, the legs are done, and I'm completely gone? And right now, Kerlock's got to think about Lisa and Vaughn and Avils there, Rhonda, as well as Katrina Weiss there chasing her down, only a minute back. Libby Hill, you saw what happened the first time over the top of Libby Hill. Things got blown apart right? And that can happen again if you're at threshold trying to chase somebody down. These gals behind have been working together, conserving a little bit of energy, and if they got the hammer to throw down those last 3 climbs, if you wasted it all trying to catch somebody, it might be GG, game over at that point. We do see 12 seconds now going out. Looks like Denning now at this point getting a little bit more of some energy in those legs as she's heading down toward the industrial park in just a moment here. Looking through, we are seeing some predictions. Let's hear some predictions for the top second, third, and fourth. It looks like we do have Lindsay Guerra off the front. I believe she will be able to hold off the women. It's not over just yet, but she does have a solid gap at this point. Let's start hearing some predictions from the Twitch chat. If you would like, go ahead and throw those out here. Let us know what you think is going to happen for the top women out there today. We've got a great leaderboard up at the top provided by Cyclogen. Great job to them bringing that information from the game to you today. Leading out will be Lindsay Guerra, followed by Jay Denning. Karlock is there as well, Lisa Job, as well as Veronica Michich in your top 5 right now. Weiss followed by Rhonda Avils, and then we do have Hunter there sitting in 8th place currently. Solid efforts all around by these women today.
Can Lindsay hold on? Nathan, you know her better probably than anybody else. Can Lindsay hold on to this?
I think she's got a solid base of endurance here. She's used to being off the front or with the lead group and then making a break and having attacks at the end of a race in the mountain bike races. We were actually talking about this a little earlier today amongst some of the guys at breakfast actually about the way that people ride in road as well as mountain biking. In mountain biking, a lot of times there's an initial shoot for the hole shot, and then you get with a group of riders who have all kind of settled into the lead, and then you start having these crazy attacks at the end through the endurance that you have. And so I think she does have the endurance to hang on here. But I think the real battle out on course is going to be Denning and Karlock. We are looking at Ashley Karlock here still hammering away.
She is not giving up. Ashley is not giving up at all, is she? Look at the effort that we're seeing there. Ashley's really, really going for it. Hey, is she managing to close the gap? Is she shaving off any time from that lead that Jay Denning currently has?
Well, Denning, we've seen Denning, and she's looked fairly comfortable from this point so far. Denning here, we do see a little bit of suffering there in the eyes, and we are seeing her glance to the right of the screen there, so she's definitely watching Karlock. Every time Karlock steps it up just a little bit, Denning responds to make sure that it doesn't come underneath that 9, 6, 7 seconds. It seems like she's able to just hold her right there, but they're definitely throwing down right into that threshold the entire time here, effort, and really just pinning it right now out on course. There's a great shot of Jay Denning's avatar now as she's heading toward the industrial park down these 5% gradient. She will feel that on that trainer actually right now. She will actually feel that downhill gradient. She's going to have to shift up in order to keep that power going and hold on to those watts on this downhill section. She is going out to 12 seconds. I think that is going to come back a little bit with Karlock as Karlock gets back into that same section of the course and starts going downhill. We are seeing 55 kilometers per hour, 25 km total in with just half a lap to go now in the first ever CVR World Cup launch event for this World Cup series now as these riders are making their way toward the finish line. This is your top 3 that we have been looking at. Ashley Karlock certainly sitting in 3rd place. 2nd place, Jay Denning here, absolutely killing it. Giannis Denning there, absolutely killing it for 2nd place, holding off Karlock by about 11 seconds still. Lindsay Guerra off the front by over 2 minutes at this point, and we could assume will be the winner today without any kind of mishap.
Ashley Karlock has been holding a higher wattage per kilogram for the last minute or 2 or 3. I mean, that has been a consistent and sustained effort to try and close that gap to Jay Denning. But the gap is not closing. It's holding fast at 8 seconds at the moment. So Jay Denning seems to be measuring her effort to do just enough. But Ashley Karlock, we can see the effort going in there. She is not giving up. She is really, really working hard to close this gap. And that gap is definitely closable, Nathan.
Yeah, that's definitely closable, and it is down to 12 seconds now. We do see Denning did get a little bit of advantage on that section of course to get that little bit more of time because she was on a downhill section of course. Yeah. So now Karlock going into that same section, she's going to be able to ramp up right now, I think, in order to bring as much speed into that flat section. We'll see if she can do something with that speed, just like you would in the real world. Want to take as much speed as you can into a flat or an uphill. Now, it is only 28 seconds back to Lisa. Lisa, who's not giving up either. You do see Lisa now still battling out for third place. Vaughn now there as well in 50 seconds back from Lisa. I still think this is anyone's game in this top 5 or so between the riders right now. So we now hear a little bit of the crowd screaming for their favorite riders there, cheering them on as they make their way to the line. Lisa now absolutely in that TT position, as you can see right now, 171 beats per minute. Look at the grimace on that face, wanting to catch back up to Kerlock's wheel. It is 35 seconds between Denning and Lisa, but only 23 seconds between Kerlock and Lisa at this point. 22 seconds now. The gap is coming down. I'm telling you, Libby Hill, this last time up, it is going to be an all-out battle for that second place out on course on the UCI Richmond World's course. What an effort from all these women out here, and they are going to absolutely kill it to the line, I think, here to try and grab those last podium positions.
And that gap is holding firm at between 8 and 10 seconds. It's currently 10 seconds. As you say, Nathan, that climb, I think that climb is where the decision could well be made for what is the most closely contested positions in this race, which at the moment are the second, third, fourth and fifth, and particularly between second and third. The gap now has gone out to 11 seconds.
I did just see a little glance there from Ashley for a second. You know, the interesting thing here is that the women are all right next to each other.
Yeah.
They can see, you know, when you're racing on Zwift, usually you're in your pain cave at home, and you can't see the efforts that are being put out. You got all these questions going through your head. What do they look like? Are they even working? What's going on? Well, we can see for real right now what they're looking like, and they can look left and right of each other and see exactly what kind of effort is going out from the rider next to them. They can see the look on their face, the sweat that's dripping. They can see whether or not they're in any kind of pain. And now we do have Janice Denning here about to head into that climb. Libby Hill here. We do have Lindsay Guerra, though, off the front here, about halfway up. Libby at this point has a comfortable gap, it looks like, of about 3 minutes. This is where she made that race-defining move, actually, for the win. Was the first time up, Libby, she grabbed a solid 15 seconds to 20 seconds and just continued to open up that gap over the top of that climb. It was a 126 over the top of Libby, actually, for the climb today. So nice, solid effort to take that KOM jersey as well as get the gap today out on course. So now moving back to the battle that is going on behind here with Janice Denning now, as she is going to be going underneath the bridge here in just a second and heading into the Libby Hill climb. Kerlock 14 seconds back. Lisa now 35 seconds back, but 21 seconds back from Kerlock. Still a battle for second place. And now as they head into Libby Hill, this is going to be the deciding moment, I think. And how hard can they go over the top? Who's been reserving any kind of energy for this moment? Janice, it looks like her heart rate has been climbing up little by little through the entirety of the race. It looks like Kerlock, and then we are looking at Lisa here at 175 beats per minute, still with that grimace, has left that TT position, now going back into the TT position, as you can see here, in order to try and find as many watts as she can in order to get over the top of this climb, or to the bottom of this climb as quickly as she possibly can. We do have Veronica Midgets now here, about 115 back from Denning, who's in second place, so she is holding steadily on to fifth place overall right now, about 42 seconds back from Lisa. Lisa up 41 seconds, so maybe Vaughn able to close this down a little bit over the last 3 climbs. Who's going to have the endurance here in this last little section between these 4 riders who are battling out for second now, Simon?
Well, the interesting thing about this course, Nathan, is it is absolutely backloaded with hills. All the climbs come in the final section of the course. 3 climbs, and the climbs are, I'm sure, where the significant places are going to be decided in this race. Janice Denning now gets out of the saddle. Rhonda Aviles looks as though she's still working hard, but probably somewhat off the pace.
With Katrina there, it looks like?
Yeah, Katrina's there, and it's going to be so interesting what happens on the first of these 3 hills in this battle for the second, third, fourth, and fifth places.
Yeah, so we do have Katrina Weiss and Aviles there looking solid there. We got Ann Lero now, it looks like, making her way around the course now, making her way down toward the industrial park. Solid effort from Ann, making her way now. Kylene Hunter is there as well, making her way out of the industrial park into the start of Libby Hill. But now this is the moment here for second place with Janice Denning as well as Kerlock and Lisa Job. Lisa Job here looking steady here. Kerlock trying to get back on terms with, it looks like, Denning. It looks like now Lisa here solid effort though, 3.1 watts per kilogram. Kerlach now 4.2 though, closing it down to Denning at 3.7. Now this is the gap right here. This is the moment that we have been talking about this whole time. Can Denning hold on to 4.0 plus? Can Kerlach close it down out of the saddle, killing it? You can see the frustration on the face, trying to get back on terms with the front of this race. Come on now, Ashley's killing it. Let's see if she can close it down now, but it's going to be Denning. Let's hear some cheering on for all these girls here out here in the arena as they try and throw it down to the top of this climb to hold each other off here. Lisa now 2.7, 2.5 watts per kilogram. Denning now 3.3, 3.6, 181 beats per minute. 11 seconds is all it is. Kerlach now back into 5 watts per kilogram, almost back to the front now. 5.0 now. She's closing it down. It's down to 10 seconds now as she's up and out of the saddle. Absolutely killing it. 172 beats per minute to try and close it down for second place. And this is for the podium now, boys and girls. 14 seconds back to Lisa, who still got them within her sights. They're just around the corner. But again, it's going to open up as they come over the top here with any kind of continuance and speed. Lisa job now. Look at the grimace on that face. Up and out of the saddle. 224 watts or so. I think that's pushing up into that 3+ watts per kilogram. 3.5 watts per kilogram even for her. 180 beats per minute. The suffering is absolutely real here for Lisa as she tries to get up and over the top of that climb. Denning now going off the front now though with 180 beats per minute. With that continuance, 2.4 watts per kilogram from Denning as she's holding steadily onto second place today. Kerlach now coming up and over the top, cresting the top of that climb, dropping down to 2.6 watts per kilogram or so, 171 beats per minute coming from her as she tries to close the gap down to Denning again. It is going to be a quick little 30 to 40 second climb over 23rd Street for that second place again. That's going to be the next place, I think, out on course where Kerlach might have an opportunity to close things down.
Yeah, but I mean that gap has held pretty steady actually, Nathan, and the second place woman is holding off the third place woman and has done consistently. And the efforts have been real. There've been some big attacks to try and close the gaps, but they don't seem. And look at Ashley, and you can see Ashley. She's been pedaling like that at a very high cadence, 100 revs per minute. She's been doing that virtually the whole race. I mean, that is one big serious effort. She's not managed to close that gap down, but there's still time. The gap is still closable.
Yeah, definitely still closable. We are seeing a huge effort for Vaughn there. Did you see that? That was like, I think I just saw somewhere into maybe 8 or 9 watts per kilogram for just a moment there.
She's
think
doing
Veronica,
5 now.
Yeah, Veronica with a huge effort up and over the top of that climb there. I think she's got Lisa within her sights. I think she's got a little bit of an effort toward the end of this course here. She wants that last place, I think, out on course to try and close this down. So it is just 39 seconds up to Lisa here. If she's got a few more kicks like that, she might be able to grab a place out on course still. But now it has come down only to 6 seconds now between Kerlach and Denning. Denning's kicking. Kerlach's going to 4.4 watts per kilogram. Now we are seeing Denning and Kerlach in a full-on battle right now for second place over 23rd Street, also known as Sagan Hill, where he won that world championship. This is always the place. This is always the place that everybody talks about, this course where people always win it out on course here. And now we might be calling it Denning Hill as she's getting away a little bit here out on course. As Kerlach now 3.4 watts per kilogram, trying to close that down as Denning gets away 2.4 or so, still 17 seconds. Kerlach was almost right back on that wheel. It was a 6-second difference, but 6 seconds is just so huge on a 17% gradient.
Yeah, it's big, but Ashley's out of the saddle. She's been out of the saddle for the last 30, 40 seconds. She is giving it absolutely everything, Nathan. Look at the effort there. Back in the saddle now, but I bet the wattage hasn't dropped much. No, she's still going hard.
Yep, definitely. She is absolutely killing it. You can see the desire all over her face. They're trying to kill it right now. And we are seeing up toward the front of the race now. It is going to be, this is with the winning shot now coming across the line, Lindsay Guerra, just about to finish up for the win out here today. 5.6, 100 meters left to go. And this will be your winner today in the first ever CVR World Cup launch. Nice job to Lindsay Guerra there across the line, representing the U.S. of A. You hear some clapping in the background there. Lindsay grabs the win today out on course. But now we do have second and third place, fourth and fifth still up for grabs. And we do have Denning here making her way to the line. She's got Governor Street here to still climb just yet. And she's still trying to hold off Kerlock here. We'll see if she's able to hold her off there. It is going to still be, I think, just about a 15 or 16 second gap. Denning here, 180 beats per minute, 85, 89 RPMs as she heads into Governor Street. We'll try and get a shot here of what Kerlock is looking like, as Kerlock is going to be trying to chase her down. 29, 28, 58 is the ETA to the line here. We'll see if she can throw it down and hold off Kerlock at the line. If I can get back and forth. Ashley Kerlock now, we got 182, 172 beats, 175 watts, 167 beats per minute or so. And these two riders are absolutely battling it out. You can see the effort coming from Kerlock trying to close that gap down. It is so, and chasing pixels, I've said it so many times before, one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And you can see Denning here now as that gradient starts to kick in. Look at the RPM drop.
Much lower
you can see
cadence.
It. You can
Look
see
at
it.
that. She is grinding, isn't she?
She is fighting right now against that gradient. 6.7, 7% gradient right now, 162 beats per minute, really trying to hold off Kerlock. It's only 12 seconds. 12 seconds is all it is between these two riders. Kerlock is absolutely doing everything she can. You can see the head starting to tilt. She's trying to get every ounce, and at least she gets the basic kit unlocked, boys and girls, as she is going around the course right now, leveling up as she is trying to close this gap down out to 16 seconds now.
This is Ashley Kerlock's last chance. This is the last opportunity. Once they crest the top of this hill, it's maybe 350 meters of flat into the line. Ashley, this is the last chance she's got to catch Janice, and she's been trying to do it all race.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's this solo TT effort all the way around the course. And Denning had this measured effort, and it looks like it might be paying off for her at this point. I'm not sure, Ashley, with 15 seconds on a climb, it's going to be very difficult to pull this off. She's really giving it everything she's got. You can see the look on that face right now, really trying everything she can to close this down. But Denning with a solid effort here, 2.8 watts per kilogram. If she crests up and over the top, her heart rate is dropping, actually. I'm seeing 145. I think she might be running out a little bit of glycogen at this point, maybe, and we'll have to see if she can hold on to this gap now, and it looks like it will be happening with 18, 19 seconds. I've never seen that much of a gap closed in 500 meters.
I think she's got it. And the difference in style between the two women has been really interesting to watch. That kind of slow grind, and she's brought it up now to 80 RPM, but we've seen Ashley spinning around 100 RPM. We've seen Ashley out the saddle, looking very animated. Janice, I think, has kind of taken a different approach. It's been more of a power grind that we've seen whenever we've seen her making a big effort. Both women very controlled on the bike, but you can see the effort written all over their face. And with the line approaching, I think the places are decided, Nathan, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. It does look like Janice Denning will be your second place today. But we are seeing, so solid job for Denning there, and then we are seeing Ashley coming across the line, it looks like, for third place at about 4.0 and 5.0. She's giving us a little shoulder to the line there. Nice job to Ashley there as she is crossing the line in third place. Solid effort all the way line, up and out of the saddle now, 771 beats per minute. You can hear the crowd cheering her on to the line. A couple of congratulations to the riders there. We do have Vaughn now, actually 11 seconds back from Lisa. It looks like it will be Lisa able to hold off Veronica Midgich, as we do have Lisa Job here, Velo Vegas, making her way to the line as well. And there's a picture of Ashley, though, as she crossed the line in third place. Solid effort. Great job, Ashley, to making your way to the line there and holding off fourth and fifth place. But now Lisa Job now making her way to the line for fourth place overall today. And then we do have Vaughn here kicking up into 3.8 watts per kilogram or so, about 20 seconds back from Lisa. So now we do have Ashley hanging out at the front, getting a little bit of a cool down. It's a nice job to her. Veronica now head down absolutely killing it. 170 beats per minute right now. And then we do have Veronica Micic then still making her way to the line. Nice job to her. Lisa then just a little ways up, 2.3 watts per kilogram. And it will be Lisa job for fourth place across the line today, followed by Veronica Micic. Vaughn coming out of Australia, coming all the way from the land down under, 100 meters to go. She came a long, long ways to finish out at 5 watts per kilogram in that last 100 meters. Up and out of the saddle, absolutely killing it. Nice effort to the line there, Veronica. Now, we do have Weiss here who was able to drop off. Rhonda, actually, nice effort to the line here coming from Katrina Weiss now. Killer effort from Katrina. 200 meters to go. Nice job, Katrina there, as we did see a high five there from Veronica right before this, but now a Katrina Weiss here, 182 beats per minute. The grimace on the face, CIS Cycling, killing it all the way to the line. 230 watts, 185 beats per minute. And then we will have a nice job to Katrina there. Now we do have Rhonda making her way to the line as well, 2.0 watts per kilogram or so. Nice job to Rhonda as she worked well with Katrina all the way to the line. And so now moving a little ways back, we do have now we are looking back here, and it does look like Hunter making her way to the line. Kylene Hunter sitting, it looks like, in what will be 8th place overall right now. So 8th place overall coming from Kylene, 2.7 watts per kilogram or so. Solid effort from Kylene in her race today. 168 watts right now, 179 beats per minute. See if we can get her to give us a little bit of show all the way to the line. A little bit of a kick before the finish here. See if she can give us, let's see, about 200 plus. Come on, Kylene, all the way to the line. There it is. I saw 200 plus for a moment there, and it was 200 meters, just 200 meters for Kylene for a solid 8th place finish in the CVR World Cup, first ever launch event in this racing series. Nice job to Kylene as she's just about to come across the line. So what an amazing race between these riders today. We had first place across the line was Lindsay Garrett. Lindsay Garrett, looks like here. Well, we're going to wait for official results in just a moment. And then we do have a Corrine Vetker here making her way to the line, 149 watts or so, 174 beats per minute. Looks like she's holding off one other rider behind her here. Still, Corrine absolutely killing it. The Leadville Masters winner, actually, I believe, in the age group 44 to 55 or so. So solid effort coming here from Corrine Vetker. Absolutely killing it here, 172, 173 beats per minute. Corrine fighting against that Wahoo kicker right now, as you can see, at a 7% gradient or so. Nice steady cadence, 82 RPM, a little bit different than we were seeing earlier coming from Janice Denny. Now we do have Ann Lero here making her way over the top of 23rd Street, 181 beats per minute, hammering away, finishing up her race. Now resting the legs up a little bit as she climbs up and over the top of 23rd Street climb. As she heads down, she'll probably get into a little bit of a tuck there. You can see her avatar tucking down and waiting to finish up out on course here as she's putting out a solid effort, 178 beats per minute. Back to then Vetker then, though. She does have the KOM as well as the sprint jersey out on course right now. Solid effort looks like to the line here. 0.6.2 watts per kilogram. We're waiting for her to get to the line. Corinne now 1.1 as she's kicking it still, looking to get up to the top. And Lero now still, though, 176 beats per minute or so. Getting a ride on from somebody out there in the world. We are seeing, it looks like, a lot of chat actually coming in from Twitch. Good to see all you guys in the Twitch channel right now saying, go Corinne, go Ann, go Ann, coming from Pedaling Park over there in the Twitch channel. C Tower's in there as well. A lot of great background work coming from C Tower actually, who's in the Twitch channel. Good to see Carol Tower hanging out there. Basalt is there as well, hanging out saying hi. Awesome work, Ann, coming from Aunt Hey. Lots of people cheering you on, Ann, in the Twitch channel right now. Over over 261 viewers all cheering her on, saying, go, go, go. Cycling made social. That's what it's all about. Cheering the riders on all the way to the line. We are seeing, it looks like D. Westerhoff as well, saying kick it, and some Leroy hype from Martin Jortbeck as well. Nice job to her. Looks like an achievement unlocked with all the ride-ons that Ann is getting. Actually, looks like everybody is logging in from Twitch right now and giving her as many ride-ons as they possibly can to get her up and over the top of the Governor Street climb. 149 watts right now, 183 beats per minute, doing everything she can. You can see her standing up and out of the saddle now. She's starting to get that gradient kick coming back at her. 51 seconds back from Vecker. Vecker's going to have to get going here at this point, I think, in order to hold off Leroy, as it is still a race out there, out on course. As we do have Leroy here now making her way to the line for, I believe it will be 9th place out on course today. And it looks like as Ann Leroy is getting to the line here, 2.6 watts per kilogram, doing everything she can to finish up on this UCI World course. You can see just how much of a workout this Zwift course can be. If you want to ride this course at home, you can download Zwift actually for free. It is a free download that you can do a trial with. Actually, if you got a bike and a trainer, you can hook up to the game with a speed sensor, a smart trainer, or a power meter. It does communicate. Those do communicate with an ANT plus signal. If they do have an ANT plus signal, they will communicate with a little USB stick you can put in your computer that communicates directly to the program the power that you're putting out. So the power that Ann Leroy is putting out right now into those pedals, 164 watts, 150 watts, 180 beats per minute, that's all being communicated from a heart rate monitor that's on her, as well as the smart trainer, the Wahoo kicker that she is on right now, is communicating through an ANT plus signal to the game right now to tell her avatar how fast to move up that climb right now. Look at all those ride-ons. Everybody is really encouraging Ann on, out on course right now. Achievement after achievement being unlocked because of this live event right now here in Las Vegas at the arena, at the esports arena, Millennial Esports Arena at the Neonopolis. If you're in Las Vegas right now, make sure to head on down here. We've got the men's race coming up in just a little bit here as these riders are finishing up out on course. We do have, it looks like, a lot more people cheering Ann on, actually. Yes, sir, 823 saying, "Grats to the achievement to Ann." We are also seeing Carissa here cheering her on, almost there. Ride on, Ann, from Big Mac D, coming from the TFC team as well. Anthony is also saying, "Be proud, Ann, you're almost there." 159 watts, just a straightaway now, with about 500 meters to go for Leroy to the line. We do hear the crowd now cheering her on as well. A lot of people in the background giving her claps, saying, "Go, go, go, go." Just the finish line to go now at this point, as she's going to need to shift up and give Ann a gel. Nathan, we are seeing Westerhoff saying there as well in the Twitch chat. Awesome effort there, and Rolagod is saying as well. So cheering her on, great job to Ann. 2.4, 2.3 watts per kilogram to the line, still 185, 186 beats per minute. Chasing pixels, boys and girls, is one of the hardest things in the world by far. As I've said over and over again, it is just such an amazing workout. And as you can see here, Ann is definitely throwing down with 300 meters to go to the line. This is the finish up for our 9th place finisher today in the CVR World Cup launch event for the women's race out here today in Las Vegas at the Millennial Esports Arena. With just 100 meters to go here, Ann Leroy, the highlight for the end of the race today. Nice job to Ann. Lots of ride-ons, lots of achievements with all of the people watching, spectating today. Definitely definitely enjoyed, it seems like, giving her the encouragement with Cycling Made Social. Putting the sport in esports here with the CVR Arena. Nice job today to all the riders. We are going to be heading down to the main stage, though, with Simon. So what's going on is we had first, second, and third place that are going to be announced officially by Simon down there. What an amazing race between the riders. And now we'll shoot it down to Simon for a presentation of the women's race.
Well, thank you, Nathan. That was the women's race. We've still got the men's race to come, but let's wrap up proceedings with the women's race with confirmation of the podium. And in third place was Ashley Carelock. Ashley, come and get your trophy from Frank Garcia. Well done, Ashley. That was a fantastic chase. An amazing chase. Well done, Ashley. That was terrific work. And in second place was Janice Denning. Janice, get your trophy from the organizer of these World Champs, Frank Garcia. Well done. Well, you held off your chaser very well. And in the top step of the podium, first place with a very long attack and a sustained hold was Lindsay Guerra. Lindsay, come and have a word. Well done. Come and join me. Lindsay, that was a big attack right from the off, and then you held on. Great race.
Yeah, thank you.
Was that the tactics from the start?
Well, I'm not familiar with any of these women. I mean, I'm familiar with Zwift racing and kind of how it shakes out, but, after the initial section of the race, you can kind of feel out, see what everybody's doing, look at their power, look at their heart rates. I was feeling pretty good, so I thought, okay, let's see what happens on this hill.
And we saw you actually put a big attack in. It looked like you were testing the legs of everybody else very, very early on. Was that a conscious effort?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you obviously felt that you could sustain a big attack and stay out long, and that's what you did. I mean, it was decisive over that first hill. Did it hurt?
Yes, it hurt. But yeah, I wanted to hit that hill and see what happened, see if and how people could respond. And so, yeah, it was kind of my point of decision there. I don't think I would have, under regular circumstances, just tried to get out that far from the front right off. That's not what I would do typically in a Zwift race, but that's just kind of how it shook out. And I wasn't sure if I could hold on to it, but I had to kind of just feel that out as I went. So,
I mean, you've raced before on Zwift. You're very familiar with Zwift racing. How different was it being in the presence of the competitors? Did that make a difference? I mean, I saw a few competitors glance across to see what the other women were looking like. Does it make a big difference to you?
I think it does, absolutely. I mean, just to be in everyone's physical presence is a different, it's a little more intimidating in some ways, but yeah, you can look over and see their face, see their body language, see how they're pedaling, see what kind of physical stress, and all of that. So yeah, it definitely changes the dynamics of it, makes it a little more exciting. Yeah.
And I mean, you won the race essentially with a couple of very big attacks and then a long sustained time trial. Did you need a lot of mental focus to stay out that far ahead?
Yeah, you kind of have to get in the zone, kind of just get your head in the game and just mentally settle in for the long haul of just pedaling hard and suffering by yourself.
Well, it was an extremely impressive performance. Congratulations, very well done. A good race, well fought. Well done, Lindsay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, that's the women's race. The men's race is still to come. We look forward to that. We just need to reset the stage here. So we're going to take a short break and then we'll be back with the men's race in the CVR World Champs here in Las Vegas.